Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Baina Midday News, coming to you live from Benam House, Atomic Junction, Medina. I'm Khadija Kubra Kailani. Coming up this afternoon, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers wants utility tariff hikes by PURC will be fiercely resisted. Also, at least 50 dead in violent attacks in eastern DRC. Do stay with us for details of the stories. Thank you for staying with us. Remember, we are also live on Facebook and YouTube at Baina TV. Now to our first story. The minority in Parliament has expressed concerns and condemnation for the threatening security situation in Bawku, which is endangering lives and properties in the area. Addressing a press conference on Friday, the ranking member of Defense and Interior Committee, Reverend John Intim-Fojo, urged government to act swiftly to contain the situation to restore peace and security. According to the minority, the growing sophistication of weaponry used in these attacks is particularly alarming, raising questions about the sources of arms and the effectiveness of measures to curb their proliferations.
The minority in Parliament is deeply concerned about the worsening security situation in Bawku, where persistent violence continues to endanger lives and displace residents. Over the past few months, the intensity and frequency of attacks, including sporadic shootings, arson, and home invasions, have escalated, with reports suggesting a high death toll, with many people said to be missing than those reported dead. The growing sophistication of weaponry used in these attacks is particularly alarming, raising questions about the sources of arms and the effectiveness of measures to curb their proliferation. Recent developments, including targeted bus attacks and the setting ablaze of the residence of the Honorable Mahama Ayariga, the majority leader, reflects the increasing volatility of the situation and the level of frustration among sections of the youth. The failure to de-escalate tensions leads to a cycle of reprisals, which, if unchecked, will further entrench insecurity in the area.
The minority further lamented over the impact of the insecurity on critical sectors such as health and education, a situation which, according to them, worsens the plight of residents as well as deepens the humanitarian crisis.
As a strategic border town, Bawku's instability poses a wider national and regional security risk. The expansion of attacks to other regions, including the Northeast and Ahafo region, have further underscores the urgent need for a more coordinated response. Beyond the immediate security concerns, the instability has devastated the affected communities. Schools have been forced to shut down, depriving children of their right to education, while key institutions and businesses are fleeing the area due to safety concerns. Critical sectors such as education and healthcare are severely impacted, with teachers, nurses, and other professionals refusing postings to Bawku for fear of their safety. The continued insecurity is gradually crippling essential services, worsening the plight of residents, and deepening the humanitarian crisis.
In the minority's view, the current approach to addressing the conflict has not been sufficient to restore calm, hence the need for government to demonstrate greater urgency and decisiveness on the matter.
It is evident that the current approach to addressing the conflict has not been sufficient to restore calm. The government must demonstrate greater urgency and decisiveness. The deteriorating situation in Bawku is a national concern, and the government must take immediate action to prevent further escalation. The people of Bako deserve to live in peace and security, and we urge, as a minority caucus, urge the government to prioritize a sustainable resolution to the crisis before it spirals further out of control. We thank you very much.
In related news, former Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Agyapong, has called for calm and unity in the wake of renewed violence in Bako and its surrounding areas, which has led to multiple fatalities and injuries. In a statement released on Sunday, April 13, Mr. Agyapong expressed deep concern over the escalation of tension following a violent clash between police and some youth in the Bako enclave on Thursday, April 10.
The unrest reportedly resulted in casualties and the alleged burning of private residence of Bako Central MP Mahama Yariga. He appealed to the youth to remain calm, stressing that no grievance should lead to the loss of life or the destruction of communities, adding that the recurring violent outbreaks and reprisals rooted in long-standing tribal conflict only continue to cause pain and instability among the people. He therefore called for calm, especially from the youth, stressing that peaceful coexistence is the foundation of prosperity and development, without which Ghana cannot see the development it desires. Mr. Agyapong also commended President John Dramani Mahama for activating a mediation process by the Asanteni Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, an initiative initially launched under former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He urged all parties involved in the conflict to support the Otumfuo-led committee in its effort to restore peace, emphasizing that national unity and progress depend on stability in all parts of the country.
Also, President John Dramani Mahama has announced government plans to support schools, institutions, and households to engage in farming. The initiative aims to improve the quality of meals served to students and reduce food costs, as well as help students view agriculture as a viable and rewarding career path. He made this known during the launch of Feed Ghana program, a flagship initiative aimed at modernizing agriculture, boosting food security, and supporting Ghana's economy.
Strategic umbrella under which all agricultural projects and interventions will be executed. It is anchored on deliberate actions to increase food production, promote modern farm practices, strengthen infrastructure, and develop agro-industrial zones across the length and breadth of Ghana. We're going to encourage not only households and communities to grow vegetables like tomatoes, pepper, garden eggs, and thereby reducing household food costs and increasing self-reliance, but we're also going to encourage institutions such as senior high schools with available lands to be supported to venture into crop production and livestock farming. And so all our schools that have land available, you are going to use some of that land for agricultural purposes. You grow vegetables to improve the food of the students in their kitchen. You have cows, goats, sheep, so that you can provide meats for our children in school. This will complement the school feeding program and encourage students to view agriculture as a viable career.
Still on business, the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, has called on the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission to reverse the decision to impose an upward adjustment of utility tariffs. Duncan Amoah indicated that industry players will oppose the hikes if the government fails to rescind their decision.
The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) announced an upward adjustment in the average end-user tariff for electricity by 14.75% and a 4.02% increase in water tariffs across the board for all categories of consumers. The revision follows the Commission's quarterly tariff review process for the first and second quarters of 2025. The PURC attributed the adjustment to factors including the exchange rate between the Ghana cedi and the US dollar, inflation projections, fuel costs, particularly natural gas, and the current hydrothermal generation mix. Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers COPEC, Duncan Amoah, however, opines that the recent tariff hikes are unadjustable and unreasonable. Citing hundreds and millions of cedis accounted for in the over 2,000 missing containers scandal, Duncan Amoah expressed worry over issues of accountability that often render public procurement processes and laws smooth and ineffective. He added that ECG cannot continue to raise tariffs in order to sustain operations on the back of such scandals. Duncan Amoah is therefore calling on PURC to backtrack on the decision, adding that consumers will fiercely resist the move.
Also, the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana has urged the government to accelerate the implementation of a comprehensive auto-financing policy that enables banks and financial institutions to extend credit facilities to vehicle buyers. The union also raised concerns over excessive port taxes, criticizing the Ghana Revenue Authority's Custom Division for imposing what they described as a burdensome charges on vehicle importers and consumers.
According to the union, clearing a vehicle at the port requires customers to pay over 20 different fees, including import duty, import VAT, and the GAS disinfection fee, COVID-19 health recovery levy, vehicle examination fees, and the African Union import levy. In addition to insurance and freight costs, importers are required to pay taxes based on the first purchase price of the original model year, regardless of the vehicle's actual purchase year. Vehicles older than 5 years attract an extra 50% penalty based on the original value, while brand new vehicles under 6 months old are exempt from depreciation-related penalties. Speaking to the media, VADUG Executive Secretary Frank Atanle Kofiga described the port fees as obnoxious taxes that need urgent review. He emphasized the need for an accessible vehicle financing framework, citing global examples where consumers can walk into dealerships and secure vehicles with little or no upfront payment, provided they have valid employment and bank statements. The Importers and Exporters Associations of Ghana has backed VADUG's call for a national vehicle financing scheme. The association believes such a policy would reduce the country's reliance on older, high-emission vehicles and promotes the purchase of newer, more efficient models.
On international front,